Okay, back again for part three. So, just for my own practice in reading in general, and to try to consume this information, get it out on audio or video, whatever, so I could re-listen to it. But feel free for anybody else. Post it up on YouTube and maybe somewhere else. Who knows? So, just gonna go over. So, if you haven't seen part two, part one, and the introduction, I forgot what it's called. Go see those videos if you like. Anyways, we're gonna get on to it. So, this is part three. Stratus used for international navigation. Stratus. I think that's Stratus. Let's double check. Definition. Strat.
Straight.
Oh, stratus. Stratus. A narrow passage of water connecting two seas or two other large areas of water. Okay. Straits. I guess it would be straits used for international navigation. Section 1, General Provisions, Article 34. Legal status of waters forming straits used for international navigation. 1. The region, I'm pretty sure that's region of passage through straits used for international navigation established in this part shall not in other respects affect the legal status of the waters forming such straits or the exercise by the states bordering the straits of their sovereignty or jurisdiction over such waters and their airspace, bed, and subsoil. 2. The sovereignty or jurisdiction of the states bordering the straits is exercised subject to this part and to other rules of international law. Article 35. Scope of this part. Nothing in this part affects A. Any areas of internal waters within a strait except where the establishment of a strait baseline in accordance with the method set forth in Article 7 has the effect of enclosing as internal waters areas which had not previously been considered as such. B. The legal status of the waters beyond the territorial seas of states bordering straits as exclusive economic zones or high seas. Or C. The legal regime in straits in which passage is regulated in whole or in part by long-standing international conventions in force specifically related to such straits. Article 36. High seas routes or routes through exclusive economic zones, through straits used for international navigation. This part does not apply to a strait used for international navigation if there exists through the strait a route through the high seas or through an exclusive economic zone of similar convenience with respect to navigational and hydrographical characteristics in such routes. The other relevant parts of this convention, including the provisions regarding the freedoms of navigation and overflight, apply. Let's see, can I? Here we go. Let's make that a little bigger, easier to read. Section 2, transit passage. Article 37, scope of this section. This section applies to straits which are used for international navigation between one part of the high seas or an exclusive economic zone and another part of the high seas or an exclusive economic zone. Article 38, right of transit passage. 1. In straits referred to in Article 37, all ships and aircrafts enjoy the right of transit passage, which shall not be impeded, except that if the strait is formed by an island of a state bordering the strait and its mainland, transit passage shall not apply if there exists seaward of the island a route through the high seas or through an exclusive economic zone of similar convenience with respect to navigation and hydrographical characteristics. 2. Transit passage means the exercise in accordance with this part of the freedom of navigation and overflight solely for the purpose of continuous and expeditious transit of the strait between one part of the high seas or an exclusive economic zone and another part of the high seas or an exclusive economic zone. However, the requirement of continuous and expeditious transit does not preclude passage through the strait for the purpose of entering, leaving, or returning from a state bordering the strait, subject to the condition of entry to the state. 3. Any activity which is not an exercise of the right of transit passage through a strait remains subject to the other applicable provisions of this convention. Article 39. Duties of ships and aircraft during transit passage. Number 1. Ships and aircraft, while exercising the right of transit passage, shall A. Proceed with delay through or over the strait. Proceed with delay. B. Refrain from any threat or use of force against the sovereignty, territorial integrity, or political independence of states bordering the strait, or in any other manner in violation of the principles of international law embodied in the Charter of the United Nations. C. Refrain from any activities other than those incident to their normal modes of continuous and expeditious transit, unless rendered necessary by force majeure or by distress. Let's look up that word again. Actually, I think it's like this. Not again. I never looked at this word before, but maybe I have seen it before. Let's see.
Force majeure.
Force majeure. Force majeure. For unforeseen circumstances that prevent someone from fulfilling a contract. Huh. Irresistible compulsion of greater force. Irresistible compulsion of greater force. Huh. Okay. Or distress, or by distress. All right, D. Comply with other relevant provisions of this part. 2. Ships in transit shall, in transit passage shall A. Comply with generally accepted international regulations, procedures, and practices for safety at sea, including the international regulations for preventing collisions at sea. B. Comply with generally accepted international regulations, procedures, and practices for the prevention, reduction, and control of pollution from ships. 3. Aircraft in transit passage shall A. Observe the rules of the air established by the International Civil Aviation Organization as they apply to civil aircraft. State aircraft will normally comply with such safety measures and will at all times operate with due regard for the safety of navigation. B. At all times monitor the radio frequencies assigned by the competent internationally designated air traffic control authority or the appropriate international distress radio frequency. Article 40. Research and survey activities. During transit passage, foreign ships, including marine scientific research and hydrographic survey ships, may not carry out any research or survey activities without the prior authorization of the states bordering straits. Article 41. Sea lanes and traffic separation schemes in straits used for international navigation. 1. In conformity with this part, states bordering straits may designate sea lanes and prescribe traffic separation schemes for navigation in straits where necessary to promote the safe passage of ships. 2. Such states may, when circumstances require, and after given due publicity thereto, substitute other sea lanes or traffic separation schemes for any sea lanes or traffic separation schemes previously designated or prescribed by them. 3. Such sea lanes and traffic separation schemes shall conform to generally accepted international regulations. 4. Before designating or substituting sea lanes or prescribing or substituting traffic separation schemes, states bordering straits shall refer proposals to the competent international organization with a view to their adoption. The organization may adopt only such sea lanes and traffic separation schemes as may be agreed with the states bordering the straits, after which The states may designate, prescribe, or substitute them. 5. In respect of a strait where sea lanes or traffic separation schemes through the waters of two or more states bordering the straits are being proposed, the states concerned shall cooperate in formulating proposals in consultation with the competent international organization. 6. States bordering straits shall clearly indicate all sea lanes and traffic separation schemes designated or prescribed by them on charts to which due publicity shall be given. 7. Ships in transit passage shall respect applicable sea lanes and traffic separation schemes established in accordance with this article. Article 42. Laws and regulations of states bordering straits relating to transit passage. 1. Subject to the provisions of this section, states bordering straits may adopt laws and regulations relating to transit passage through straits in respect of all or any of the following. A. The safety of navigation and the regulation of maritime traffic as provided in Article 41. B. The prevention, reduction, and control of pollution by giving effect to applicable international regulations regarding the discharge of oil, oily waters, and other noxious substances in the strait. C. With respect to fishing vessels, the prevention of fishing, including the stowage of fishing gear. D. The loading or unloading of any commodity, currency, or person in conservation, I'm pretty sure that's correct, of the customs, physical immigration, or sanitary laws and regulations of states bordering straits. 2. Such laws and regulations shall not discriminate in form or in fact among foreign ships or in their application have the practical effect of denying, hampering, or impairing the rights of straits passage as defined in this section. 3. States bordering straits shall give due publicity to all such laws and regulations. 4. Foreign ships exercising the right of transit passage shall comply with such laws and regulations. 5. The flag state of a ship or the state of registry of an aircraft entitled to sovereign immunity which acts in a manner contrary to such laws and regulations or other provisions of this part shall bear international responsibility for any loss or damage which results to states bordering straits. Well, like out of all that, that's the one that really applies to what I'm going for so far. I mean, this sounds like private stuff right here versus the public. So, Article 43, navigational and safety aids and other improvements, and the prevention, reduction, and control of pollution. User states and states bordering a strait should, by agreement, cooperate. A. In the establishment and maintenance in a strait of necessary navigational and safety aids or other improvements in aid of international navigation, and B, for the prevention, reduction, and control of pollution from ships. Article 44, duties of states bordering straits. A little tongue twister almost. States and straits. States bordering straits shall not hamper, just need a third one, right? States bordering straits shall not hamper transit, passage, and shall give appropriate publicity to any danger to navigation or overflight within or over the strait of which they have knowledge. There shall be no suspension of transit passage. Section 3, innocent passage. Article 45, innocent passage. Let's just move my head over here. 1. The regime of innocent passage in accordance with Part 2, Section 3 shall apply in straits used for international navigation. A. Excluded from the application of the regime of transit passage and under Article 38, Paragraph 1, or B. Between a part of the high seas or an exclusive economic zone and the territorial sea of a foreign state. 2. There shall be no suspension of innocent passage through such straits. There shall be no suspension of innocent passage through such straits. That's pretty cool. So as long as it's innocent passage, no suspension, which is probably just double check restrictions, or they can't stop you from passing. Suspensions.
Suspension.
Or suspension without an S. Suspension. The temporary prevention of something from continuing or being in force or effect. So you can't prevent. There's no prevention of innocent passage. That's pretty cool. And the other word I wanted to check on is this one.
Regime.
Regime. Or I call it regime. Regime. Yeah, regime. A government, especially an authoritarian one. A system or planned way of doing things, especially one imposed from above. Huh. So that's cool. Well, that ends that pretty much. So that's the end of part 3 of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, part 3. Cool.